program is all about providing leaders and managers with meaningful insights on how to optimize business results by aligning their people strategy to their business strategy. Our goal is to support you as you rise to the challenges of complex decision making centered around attracting and retaining top talent.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Strategic Alignment podcast. Happy Thanksgiving. I know some of you guys may still be messing around with some turkey or whatever as you enjoy for this season. But I'm so excited, guys, to have with me a friend and a leader. To just be honest, he was the first guest I had in this program, the Strategic Alignment podcast, when we started. So I'm so grateful to have him here with us. But before I keep talking, even though I need to talk some of this food that I have out of my system, but Dr. J, tell us a little bit about yourself and those who are listening, whether to the live recording or the delayed. I ask you to share with them a little bit about yourself and what you do as we dive into a season of gratitude.
Well, Jamie, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be on the podcast again. I'm always excited to be with you, and I enjoy everything that you do about strategic alignment. So I'm Julian Johnson, and I am a C-suite executive leader in healthcare, and I also provide support to spiritual support and guidance to C-suite and executive leaders. And one of the things that I like to talk about is not only the aspect of leadership, but how humanity interplays with that from a perspective of grief, from a perspective of resilience, and from the perspective of compassion fatigue and so compassion support. So often, so many leaders are pouring themselves out all the time, and we'd only imagine what it's like to be a lonely leader in a time where you really need to be sharp when you sometimes may not feel as sharp. I'm here to come alongside you and give you guidance and support.
Wow, there you have it, guys. And last time Julian was with us, he talked about that in terms of how you thrive regardless of what you're going through, how you deal with those tough times. But as you're in the season of Thanksgiving, Dr. J, if you could share with us what role does gratitude play in leadership? When people talk about leadership, we always think about leadership from the perspective that you have an iron fist. When you walk, people need to be running. When you're talking, people need to be focusing. When we think about leadership, many times that's what we think about. But as we're in the season of Thanksgiving, what role does gratitude play in leadership or effective leadership?
Man, I'll tell you that gratitude and humility are like twins. They have to be together. And I think that in order to be a great leader, humility has to be a part of that, and gratitude. So not only gratitude for the role that you have, gratitude for the opportunity that you've been given, but there's also a parallel to humility that comes along with that. I think, Jamie, too many leaders find themselves in a place where they feel that they have arrived. And I feel that gratitude for each person on the team, the humility, the respect, the honoring even, basically helps other leaders to feel not only elevated, but they're the people who are in their downline on their team. Man, it's a feeling that basically can come through and comes through as a seamless joy when people know that they're working for somebody who's grateful. Now, that does not mean that doesn't let anybody off the hook for accountability. Just because you're grateful doesn't mean you can't have accountability. That means because you are grateful, there's even a higher standard of accountability because you know what you're doing makes so much sense. And it can resonate not only in your organization, but also among the community and inside of your leadership team. The other thing I'll say, Jamie, is this, that I have a strong passion, man. I've developed a strong passion recently for middle management leaders. Middle management leaders in any company, Jamie, are the billboard for every single organization. And so if we don't have the right middle management leaders, and they don't feel gratitude, then they're going to be angry at work. They're going to take more days for insurance. They're going to take more days for sick days, and it affects the bottom line. So gratitude is inside the fabric of every great organization. It's a way to not only express thanksgiving, it's not only a way to show support, but it's also a way to reveal it. I think one of the one of the highest disservices that we can do as leaders is only show gratitude during Thanksgiving or even during Christmas time or just other times like that.
So when you think, as you made mention, Dr. J, as I was listening, you talked about the fact that, first you got to be grateful for where you are as a leader. You got to be
Yeah,
grateful for the opportunity that you receive to lead people. And then
that's
you
right.
have to extend that gratitude to those who you serve. And you made mention of the fact that middle managers being the bedrock, being the billboard for any organization. And what happens when leaders don't allow them to feel as if they're grateful for having them on the team, for doing all what they do. So if you could share with us, what happens to leaders who fail to embrace the spirit of gratitude and only seek to do it at the end of the year or on special occasions. What happens to leaders who fail to invest in a culture that embraces gratitude? What happens to those leaders, and what happens to their levels of productivity and the people who they serve?
I think honestly, man, people like that begin to lead in isolation, and it puts them on a downward spiral. You can have 100 people on your team, but if you are not connected in a way that's meaningful to those around you, forget it. You are going to be an island among yourself. And I'm saying this because there are a lot of good people who want to make a lot of strategic action and movement for their own upward mobility. There's some companies and some traditions that say it's bad to want more. No, I don't think it's bad to want more. I think it's bad to want more without having a foundation of who you are as a person. And who you are as a person is actually your DNA that's spreading throughout your organization. So if you're a person that really doesn't care about people and you only care about the bottom line, well, you'll have the bottom line. But right now we're seeing, as a result of the great resignation, that people are going places where, number one, they can get quality and work-life balance, they can be appreciated, and then they can do some meaningful work. So it doesn't matter how much your money your company makes. It doesn't matter if you're on the Forbes top list of this or that or the other. If people do not feel appreciated by you as a leader, then basically you are telling them that you only matter when you choose the operative time for them to matter: Christmas, holidays, birthdays. But what about random thank you notes? What about random times where you have random one-on-ones and it's not about the bottom line? As crucial conversations as you might need to have, it has to be about their kids, their pets. What are they doing to take care of themselves? And that way it's a boost when you come to the next meeting, because they'll be ready because you've invested in them.
So you said a number. You left us with a number of nuggets right there, Dr. G, and I hope I can dissect it. You made mention of the fact that we have some leaders who are bottom line leaders, whereby their focus is just on the numbers, their focus is just on the growth, their focus is just on hitting the target, not understanding that their primary need is to focus on those who are allowing them to achieve those. And you also made mention that there's some simple steps that leaders can take, because that's what people really value. And as you were talking, I thought about discretionary value, because when people know that you care about them, they will care enough to go the extra mile to buy into your vision or the direction that you want to take the team in. So when you think about leaders, and you started to share a little bit about what are some of the steps that leaders could take to allow their team and those who they work with to recognize and understand that they really care about not just the numbers, but they care about them as an individual. You mind expanding a little bit on that for leaders who'll be listening now, like, you know what, I don't know these people, I'm from a different world, I'm in the C-suite, I don't need to be seen with them. What you started about some simple things. What are some other things that leaders can do to allow members of their team to recognize that I am grateful for my position, but I'm even more so grateful for an opportunity to be a part of your life as a member of this team?
All right, so perfect. So today's Thanksgiving, and I went to work actually today. I went to work to go round on the people who are actually frontline leaders, and so I spent time deliberately talking to a lady. She broke down crying the fact that her kids are out of town and away, and they're not coming back. She wasn't mad that they were away, but she said, Julian, she said, I can't believe that my family, there's not much for them here, but I'm glad that they're away. So what I was doing was building relational capital. And I want to tell
Mm,
everybody today that relational capital is actually equally important to financial capital. Oh, I just said something there. I hope somebody gets it on the rebroadcast. That relational capital is actually equal to financial capital. All right, everybody's looking at the bottom line. Everybody's looking at the post-pandemic numbers, and everybody's wondering what's going to happen next. Well, what's going to happen next is, first of all, you need to anchor your team and let them know that relational capital is equally important to financial capital. In other words, to break it down a small change, people are more important than things. And I think that there are some simple steps that you can do to take that. Number one, you got to get out of your office and go round. If it's not rounding physically, and you may be working somewhere else that your team is remote, well, you got to make time to send them some remote things. So my team is spread out over 3 states, and so every now and then randomly I'll send them all DoorDash. Well, I don't know what they have. I don't know what they want to eat. I don't even care what they want to eat. I want to let my team know that I care for them. And I had one of the most productive work sessions that I brought my team together for the first time all year a few weeks ago as a result of everybody working together. But I know the feeling that they had was, hey, we feel like we're taken care of. So it's relational capital. Then the other thing is there's also this thing called distributive association. So everybody's level of distributive association is different. So that means that I'm not going to relate to you the same way that I choose to relate to everybody else. So how I choose to associate with you, you might care about kids, so I got to talk to you about your kids. You might care about your pets. I got to talk to you about your pets. You might be a caregiver for your 85-year-old mom or grandmother or whoever, and it's just plaguing you. So I have to have some association with you that's different than anybody else in the room. And it's my task as a leader. This is what I learned from my father. My father told me, Jamie, he says, son, your job is not to do all the work, but it's to make sure all the work gets done. And everybody's goal for getting that work done, everybody's starting anchor, their spark plug for getting that work done is different. So you want to talk to me about something? You want to help me to feel good at work? Talk to me about what we can do creatively and release me to do that. Talk to me about my kids. Talk to me about what's going on, and talk to me about let's take a trip to go to the next conference so we can develop and grow and learn and serve together. So those are things that excite me, but I think everybody has to find something with people on their team. And as leaders, let me tell you this, as leaders, we are students of humanity. We're not just students of business. We are students of humanity. And the best leaders, they don't even have to have a high moral system. That helps. They don't have to have a low moral system, but they have to be effective students of humanity. I'll say this, and I'll stop. Red Auerbach won 11 championships in the NBA in the 1960s in the middle of segregation with a team of people that were black and white. And so what he did as success, he found out what motivated each one of his team members. And he used that motivation to be able to assist them to prominence. One guy, he said he had to literally curse out, and the guy just started laughing. One guy, he said he wanted to talk about his kids. Another guy said he wanted to talk about sports. Another guy said he wanted to talk about policies and civil rights and everything like that. So I think we have to find ways as leaders to actually get to the heart of our team.
Well, I love that. And I'm going to go back on, you made mention of distributive association, whereby the greatest sense, as I'm hearing from you, Dr. J, is that the greatest sense of gratitude that you could show to your team members as a leader is to take the time to understand that they're not all the same and that they're different. And by understanding that they're different, do things, observable, measurable things that will allow them to recognize that you took the time to identify exactly what's different about them. And not, some of us could say we identified, and sometimes leaders identify things just to set somebody up to be fired or to be promoted. But what I heard from you, Dr. J, is that you do that so that you are more equipped as a leader to serve their needs and understand where they're coming from, because they are human beings just as you are. They have families, they have interests, they have likes. And if they recognize that you have an interest in that, then they would take a greater interest in who you are, where you're going, and then they'll go and bat for you. And then, you know what, Dr. J, is that this allows for you to have tough conversations with the
Yes.
members of your team, because they
Yes.
know that my boss cares about me.
Yes. That's 100% correct. Can you hear me now? It's
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud
100%.
and clear.
It's 100% correct. And so I think that a lot of people, they kind of take it as, because I have the position, then I can have any conversation with you because I have the position. But the reality is that because you have the position, that makes you even more responsible to understand the people on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing, bam, 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 watch out now. If you can't do that with your team is too big. And you might have to
Mm,
find somebody else to help you break down that 50 to 25 to 35 to actually probably about 6 or 7 people. Every C-suite leader can only really effectively manage about 7 people. And if you have more than that, then you have too many people that you're trying to connect with, have one-on-ones with. And for those in director management to director level, you're going to have a lot more people that are under you. But at the same time, you have to find a way to distribute some resources and authority to people to let them know that not only you care about them, but preparing them for the next generation of leadership.
mm.
Jamie, we are looking for leaders everywhere. We can't
Uh-huh.
find them.
That's it. And as you're saying that, when you think about it, when leaders invest in the people who they're leading, and they allow them to recognize that they care about who they are and where they are, when they care about their challenges, it makes it easier for those people to feel the need to show up with a willingness to engage, as opposed to just showing up to do the basic in terms of what is expected. So what I'm hearing also is that your ability as a leader to show gratitude is directly related to the level of results that you get from your teammate. And
Oh,
and sometimes you
100%.
and sometimes you see, you, like for example, you may see NBA players who they leave one team as a bench warmer, as a scrub, and they go elsewhere and they become star players, because this leader took the time to understand who they are, what their needs are, and how they can impact them positively and inspire them to do great things. And it comes from the act of gratitude, appreciating the members as individuals, as you said it, as human beings. And when you recognize that, then you'll do things that humans like, and not just do things as if you're robots.
No, I agree. I think you said it best. I think a lot of times, because of industrialization, we want the product, right? But we don't want to help people along the process. And I think a lot of times we want the product. The product is the bottom line thing. But the thing is, everybody's in some kind of process somewhere, whether they're learning something, whether they should be learning, whether they're a mentor, whether they're getting mentored. Everybody's in a process. And I think that we have to respect the process. But like you said, the closer you get to people, you can almost say anything to people who you are close to because they have respect for you and they know your heart. You can even fire people and they will trust that the fact that you making this move is going to be better for them than staying where they are. I'm telling you. And so as a result of that, there's joy that you can have. And it doesn't mean that you're evading the bottom line. I believe the companies that are coming out now that are most productive are those that actually took care of their teams during the pandemic in meaningful ways.
So what I'm hearing, and it's interesting that you made mention of that, Dr. Johnson, is that I was reading an article recently, and it said that during the pandemic, this leader shared with his team that he would have to let them go because he could not afford to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the fact that this leader was a human-centric leader, a few weeks ago I had Todd Attridge on the program. He was a powerful, the dynamite. I got to connect you with him, Dr. J.
Yeah.
But because he ran an organization that was a human-centric organization,
Yep.
these people said to him that we are not going anywhere. We know that when
Yep.
this company is back on its legs, you're going to take care of us. So it's our time to take care of you. The
I'm telling
leader,
you, man.
the leader could not believe it, that these guys were like, I'll take a pay cut because when I was down, you pulled me up. When I needed conversation, you were there. You checked on me. So it's my time as a member of the team to give you the discretionary value that the organization needs at this point. And we are not going to allow you to fail.
And I'm telling you, man, that's what I'm saying. Your team, people on your team. I think one thing that every leader, hear me very clearly. Your team doesn't want you to fail. And I'm gonna tell you, people think that people are out to get them and all. No, 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 no. People want clarity, number one. And then the second thing, people, even if they don't want clarity, the political side of them and even the selfish side of them, they don't want to look bad in front of other people. So they don't want to be viewed as somebody who's going against the leader all the time. That's not cool, right? So the thing is, in order for their own political expediency, sometimes people will follow. And even if they're following for that reason, hear me very clearly, take it. Because there's some people, the only way they'll get it is by being in the crowd. There's some people, there's only some stuff you can get in the crowd that you will not get isolated and by yourself. Some people actually need other people to assist them to actually getting to a stronger place in life. And so I think as leaders, again, we've got to have discernment. We've got to have that distributive association to say that just because John acts this way doesn't mean that Kelly's going to be the same way. Even if they're close and tight and they eat lunch and they call themselves work husband and work wife, whatever that means, that means that you still as a leader have to take that. But then it comes from a place of gratitude. Dr. Robert Emmons from the University of Davidson, UC Davidson in Sacramento, he is the foremost speaker on gratitude. And what he talks about is gratitude basically actually saves your life. And I'm telling you, a lot of leaders have high cholesterol, high stress, high this, high that, because we're trying to attain stuff that really is already there for us anyway. If we just take a moment of gratitude, take a moment to reflect, and then we realize, hey, some people came out of some rough situations. Some people came out of abusive situations. You sitting in a corner office with your feet up on the desk. You got your secretary who's willing to do whatever you need ethically to be able to assist you in any way possible. And then you got a family members, you got friends. And if you don't have family members or friends, you have enough capital in the community to bring somebody up with you. I mean, I mean, when you think about it, man, it just feels good to know that you have something that somebody needs that God has blessed you to have at this time and season.
Wow. And when you think about it too, is that, could you imagine the number of employees or great talented members of teams who are remaining stagnant, missing
Yes.
opportunities for growth,
Yes.
because the leaders have not invested trust and a sense of gratitude in the fact that they have them. So you know this, Dr. J. I could tell it for myself. I know that when my wife says something good to me, when my wife gives me a compliment, it does something for me. So you think about it in the work world, when a manager withholds a compliment or a sense of gratitude or affirmation for a member of the team, they are robbing that person of those juices that would have allowed them to see the need to take their thing to another level.
Yes, man. It is a biblical principle in the Proverbs. It says, do good to all those that are within your sphere of influence. In other words, if you got the authority to do good for people, then you're commanded by God to do good for those people, not because you think they're not good enough or because no, God says you better do good because that's your responsibility. And man, I'll tell you, Jamie, that I think that there are a lot of people who are missing out on a lot of big blessings. And even leaders, I don't care who you are, you're missing out on a big bonus yourself just because of gratitude. I mean, just one thing, gratitude is keeping you away from going to the next level in your life or career or leadership. And I'll tell you that when that happens, it opens up a big floodgate. And so I want to tell anybody who's listening today to prepare for a deluge of rain, a deluge of blessings, because when you open up gratitude, then it starts coming your way. It returns its way to you even more, like tenfold, because of blessings that you have put out to others.
And as you said it right, is that leaders who choose to invest in others. I was reading a book recently, and it made mention of this leader who went the extra mile to assist one of his middle managers.
Yep.
And this middle manager moved on to becoming an exceptional talent in another organization.
Yep.
And this middle manager called back for that leader when there was an opening for a top position. And you ask, wow, how often does that happen? And that's all because this person's like, if he showed me that such gratitude, if he created a safe environment and a nurturing environment for me to grow, and I'm now in this organization and I'm seeing all these talents, could you imagine the impact that he could have here? and he opened the door for that person. So sometimes as leaders, as you made mention, we are holding ourselves back. We're
Yes.
messing with our health and a sense of clarity because we are failing to exercise the gratitude or to share or to create that environment for those who we're working with or working for.
No, I agree, and I think that why would I want to withhold myself from any blessings that should be coming my way? And any other thing, Jamie, you reading all these books, man. You're not telling me about all these books you've been reading, man. You got all these books that you've been reading, man. Another book, another book, another. Listen, I'm telling you names. You just telling me I read a book. But I think, man,
so, so,
honestly,
so, so next time
so
we're
the book.
on, man, I'm gonna have to pull up a couple. Yeah, pull up a couple of them, and you
All
get me
right, all
because
right, all
that's
right,
where we get it from.
all right, all right, all right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
the
But
last story,
yeah, yeah.
that's from Pat Lencioni. You get me in the book Motive.
Okay, okay, all right, all right.
Yeah, yeah, where he talks about the fables. So sometimes I have them all mixed in, so I'm not gonna call the wrong name and attach it to it and get myself messed up.
I got you. I got you. I
But
got you.
that's
I know
good.
you
That's
well. I
good.
know
That's
you're
good.
well read, man. I know you're a well
That's
read
good. That's
man.
good. But that's it. As you talk about it, Dr. J, when it comes on to gratitude. But as we're looking to close it out now, Dr. J, we're in a season of Thanksgiving. I'm
Mhm.
thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the food that I just ate. I may have to go do myself a couple miles before the night is out. Can't go to
Me
bed with
too.
all this. But I think that many leaders are in that very same position. I'm full at this point because I ate a lot. They're full because they have been granted grace and mercy and they've been granted the position to do well, right? But
Yeah,
they
yeah,
need to
yeah.
offload some of that by thanking
That's
others
it.
and blessing others who have gotten them there. What's your
That's it.
final word to those leaders who are full and need to empty the cup so that they can receive more blessings?
Yeah. So I learned a really good lesson when I started my new job. I had somebody ask me a question. They asked me, "So who's going to replace you?" So I said, "Well, what do you mean who's going to replace me? I just started this job, 2 weeks on the job." They said, "Who's going to replace you?" So I saw them about 2 weeks later, and I got it. I want to make sure that I have somebody to replace me, and it's my job to train them. And I would suggest to us in the same way, if we want our leadership to go to the next level, we want to take people and we want to influence the next generation of leaders, then I want to encourage you to take somebody along the journey with you. And what it will do, it will actually re energize your leadership, it'll re energize your mindset, but it will also give you a reason to continue to come to work. And I think so often, because we're so full, like you said, Jamie, we're so full of this information, this knowledge, this awareness, self-awareness, but also community relationships. Man, you can hoard them all to yourself, but guess what? You can't take it with you. But what we can do is give it to the next generation. So I've got people I'm mentoring, and I hope that you do too, because mentoring is also parallel to gratitude because it helps you realize how blessed you really are. I'm blessed because I have spent some time with you today, Jamie. I look forward to the next time. And thank you again. Please check out my website, www.builttothrive.me, and for resources and also the Built to Thrive podcast, where we're recording new episodes to be able to connect better with you. God bless you. And thank you again, Jamie, for allowing me to come on.
Definitely, it's always a pleasure having you here with us, Dr. J. But I saw Jessin Haldane; she's always on, and she just made a statement here. I know she want to hear from you. I don't know if you want to take about it and share something
Yeah.
before we jump off.
Oh man, so Jason, thank you so much for that, for what you shared. That no leader should suffer from burnout. I believe that maybe should not suffer from burnout, but I believe that it happens. So Rachel Remen in her book Chicken Soup for the Soul for Nurses, she says this. She's a medical doctor. She says we burn out not because we don't care, but because we don't grieve. And I think that that part of
Mm,
grieving, that true part of grieving, letting go of what you can't have. And I think a lot of it, Justin, honestly, has to do with expectation. What we think we should have, where we hope we should be in comparison to where we are currently. That creates a dissonance in our minds, and our bodies start to agree that we need to have some break into burnout. We should have had this, should have been married, should have had kids, should have had this much money, blah, 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 blah. But once we take an aspect of gratitude that lets us know where we are today, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for putting 2 feet on the ground this morning. I'm grateful for being able to drive. I'm grateful for being able to feed myself. I mean, you can work yourself up to where you just running around happy because of gratitude. And I think burnout actually kind of is there to help to recalibrate our minds, to let us know that we're actually human and we can do it. So thank you so much for that question.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys again for joining us for another Strategic Alignment podcast. We believe that, guess what, if you invest in yourself, and today we talked about gratitude, not just investing in yourself, but investing in those around you by sharing, by being grateful, by thanking them for the role that they play. And as Dr. J made mention today, is that you need to identify the fact that people are different. And when you identify that, you deal with them differently. And then when you do that, they will understand that you appreciate them as an individual, because you're checking in on them regarding those things, and you get more out of them than you'd have gotten normally based on just passing them by and thinking about the bottom line. Dr. G also talks about the human factor when it comes on, and it's not just about the projects and the results, but investing in people. Thank you guys again for joining us. Looking forward to you guys joining us next week. And please check out Dr. J on LinkedIn, on Facebook, buildtothrive.com, right?
.me.
buildtothrive.me. Please check him out there, and I guarantee you that there's something that he will share with you, and he could offer you more feedback. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and when you do that, leave a comment, because when we have great talent like Dr. J, we have to show the fact that what he shares is beneficial to what we do as leaders. Dr. J, it is always a pleasure having you. And again, guys, this is something because the first podcast that we had on Strategic Alignment Podcast, Dr. J was the first guest. And we're planning on doing something before the year is out. So please, I haven't talked about a date yet, but we may have to pull off an all-nighter as we move into the new year when it comes on to leadership and doing things the way that we were ordained to do it. So guys, thank you guys very much again, and thank you for joining us, and do have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for listening to the Strategic Alignment Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to our podcast by visiting our website at www.pottingerandassociatesconsulting.com.